So will Boots Ennis be the difference in the fight? Will Boots Ennis, will sparring Boots Ennis, will that be the significant difference in the fight? Well, first it's important to look at what Boots Ennis brings to the table, because he clearly, it's not just about being an elite fighter or a good fighter or a great fighter. It's about bringing a package that's comparable. It's about bringing a package that's comparable to Crawford. And I think there's a few correlations here. It's important to realize every fighter has its own identity, whether they're orthodox, whether they're southpaw. Every fighter has their own combinations. Every fighter, even with the trajectory of the jab might be different, how many jabs they throw, how hard the jabs are, their preferences of punches, their tempo, whether they fight on the inside, mid-range, etc. So are there parallels, and are these parallels helpful? Will they be helpful to Canelo? Well, there's a few things that come to mind. Boots Ennis, and I love watching Boots Ennis, really skillful, really aggressive. He has the punch creativity. There's no doubt that Boots Ennis has the punch creativity. Also, additional to that, he is a switch hitter. That is a critical factor, because not only might Canelo be dealing with an orthodox attack, he might also be dealing with a southpaw attack. And when he's dealing with a southpaw attack, it will be coming with speed and precision. So that southpaw attack, if it comes, will come with speed and precision. So in that sense, Boots Ennis is absolutely a brilliant choice. Also, Boots Ennis has tremendous finishing ability, so there's a parallel there, but I don't know how you replicate that in the gym. But also he has a stoicism, a calmness in the ring. And a lot of American fighters, a lot of elite American fighters, or just elite fighters in general, they have that calmness. And that's a very vital element, I think, of Terence Crawford. If you look at the Sean Porter fight, there was competitive elements of the fight, but Crawford remained calm. So replicating that against an opponent is important. And it might be really important for Canelo, because there might come a time when he needs to roll the dice. He needs to take a risk. And if someone's calm and you don't take a risk, then that could jeopardize you if you're losing the rounds. So we've established that there are similarities. We've established where there are similarities, but obviously there are also some differences. So Crawford, we can argue, has greater boxing IQ. It's really hard to measure boxing IQ, but you could argue that his boxing intelligence is higher. This is not to take anything away from Boots Ennis. He clearly has a high boxing intelligence as well. But Crawford may be the elite of the elite. He is, after all, third on most pound-for-pound lists. Also, even though they both do switch hitting, so they both go orthodox and they both go southpaw, but the context in how they go southpaw is different. So they both go orthodox and they both go southpaw, but the context of how they go southpaw is different. Because Crawford, he's more likely to set a trap. He'll walk you into a straight left, or, he'll use it to control the tempo. While Crawford from the southpaw position is going to overwhelm you with speed. He has amazing combinations. He really does. Visually, Boots Ennis is really great to watch, but there's differences. So here's an important thing. Can the Canelo camp, can they get Boots Ennis to replicate the sparring tendencies, or can they get Boots Ennis to replicate the southpaw tendencies of Bud Crawford? Can they do that? And I guess a lot of that will be due to, or would require, efficient communication. So you not only want Boots Ennis to come in as a southpaw, you want him to be a southpaw that's replicating Bud Crawford. So that's going to be a challenge. But one thing that's really good is that the speed and the accuracy, if you can adapt and deal with the speed and the accuracy of Boots Ennis, that is really good preparation, because Boots Ennis has got elite level reflexes. He may have some of the best reflexes. So there's some really good things there. However, we do have a significant disparity. And that's the weight difference, because Ennis is 147. So the question becomes, does the size disparity between Canelo and Boots Ennis, can that affect the sparring? Well, it can affect the sparring, because Canelo being so much bigger than Boots Ennis means that he can use his physicality. But the camp need to remember that the physical dimensions of Boots Ennis is going to be different to the physical dimensions of Crawford. So if you're moving around a 147 guy with ease, that might give you a false sense of security. And then you go in there with someone heavier, and then you can't replicate those same results. And then you think, oh, okay, I've built false confidence off a false premise. So it's important, I think, that Boots Ennis is used for speed, used for reflexes, to adapt to the speed and reflexes. It's important that he's used to replicate not only being a southpaw, but being a replica of Crawford being a southpaw. But they need to bring in additional sparring to handle, or to replicate the strength that Crawford will come. Now, obviously, Crawford is putting on 14 pounds, so he will probably not be as strong as Canelo. But you don't want to go into a fight with the preparation of just preparing against 147 fighters, because Crawford is not going to be 147. And there's another variable here. I've seen various clips previously of Crawford doing like MMA type training. So he might be stronger than what people anticipate. So you don't want to underestimate your opponent, because underestimating your opponent can have some devastating consequences. And then there's another question. So we're looking at what's the ideal sparring for Canelo, but what's the ideal sparring for Crawford? And I was having a think about this, and I was thinking, if you're sparring preparing for Canelo, you need to prepare for the power. You need to prepare for his signature punch combinations and punch creativity. You definitely need to be going back to back with people that are good at the body attack and good at setting up the body attack. You know, the jab, feint, the right uppercut to the head, and then the left hook to the body. Your sparring partners need to be replicating that over and over again. And as importantly as well, you have to be going in against technical counterpunchers, because that's where Canelo really stands out as being elite. He is an elite technical counterpuncher. So Crawford really needs to have someone that replicates that. And probably he'll go in with heavier guys. Part of me thinks Andy Ruiz would be a good sparring partner. Maybe that's off, but that comes to hand, because Andy Ruiz is a good counterpuncher. Check the Anthony Joshua fight and the Joseph Parker fight as a reference. He's a very good counterpuncher, has some decent body attack as well. Obviously has tremendous power naturally, because he's a heavyweight. So he wouldn't be the main sparring partner, but he could definitely be a sparring partner that would be effective. And he has that same, I guess you could say, that similar type of stance and Mexican style of Canelo. Because I think one of the main things that Crawford has to deal with is not just the strength, but he has to deal with the power of the punches. The power of the punches could be significant, and not only to the head, but also to the body. But how valuable will Boots be as a sparring partner to Canelo? It's quite hard to evaluate, but I think from an outsider looking in, this could be a great sparring for Canelo in preparing for Crawford.